Hey Aaron, how's it going, my friend? Welcome, Karen. So I'm probably not going to be on the live the full amount of time tonight, just a heads up. But I am here. People are crazy right now. How so? What exactly do you mean by that? Scott, welcome back, my friend. It's good to see you. I'm really hoping that technology holds up for our live tonight. Hello, Arlena. Welcome back. It's good to see you as always. So for anybody who has not heard, we had a massive X-class solar flare earlier today, an X9, which is a pretty strong, sizable solar flare. In fact, it is the strongest solar flare of this current cycle. And it was following an X7 solar flare. So once that connects with the Earth and impacts us tomorrow or Saturday, I would expect some interruptions with technology. My friend for 15 years just blocked you over trying to... Good grief. Yeah, it's already begun. In Tennessee. Wow, that's wild. Hello, Peter. Welcome back, my friend. So that is one of the reasons why I wanted to make sure and be able to go live and talk to everybody tonight, because the next 2 or 3 days, I don't know for sure if I'm going to be able to go live because of the inclement space weather. I don't know if technology is going to be holding up, or how well the internet will work for me to be able to go live. Too much history you can't get over. Good grief. Hello, DigiGuy. Welcome back, my friend. Hello, Cheryl. Welcome in, everybody. Yeah. So, science knows that inclement space weather, such as a coronal mass ejection from the sun, it connects electromagnetically with the circuit of our planet, and that it causes all sorts of things, right? It can cause technology interruptions. It can cause systems to go down, such as Microsoft, which is what happened during the last major solar flare that we had that was anywhere near this size. And of course, the official story was that they were doing a technology update. You know, they were doing some kind of software update, and it caused everything Microsoft to go down. It just happened to coincide with a massive solar flare. Every time that solar flares that size happen, technology glitches. We have issues with it because it is electric, and the electrical circuit of our planet is being bombarded by a ton of energy. Good grief. Sorry you're dealing with that, Aaron. Unfortunately, I think that there is a good chance that we will see more of that over the weekend, and I would anticipate that. Hello, Anna. There's many physical impacts or things to expect whenever it comes with inclement space weather. Not only is there a higher incidence of things like volcanoes and earthquakes and weather going wild, because those are all functions of discharging electrical energy from the Earth's grid, right? Science knows that. But also it impacts our body, because our bodies are electromagnetic circuitry. Oh, thank you for that, Cheryl. I appreciate you. Thank you for sharing the live, Aaron. Science is documented, and there's dozens of studies that have all been peer-reviewed about the physical effects on our bodies whenever inclement space weather happens. any type of cardiovascular distress is magnified tenfold during inclement space weather. So, heart attack, stroke, high blood pressure, heart arrhythmia, palpitations, that sort of thing, they're much more common during inclement space weather. But also, all manner of psychological distress is greatly exacerbated. That's also documented. Any type of psychological disorders are greatly exacerbated, primarily stress and anxiety. People have a hard time coping whenever our electrical circuitry is being bombarded by a ton of highly charged energy bombarding our circuitry, especially when we're not grounded, right? And then we can't discharge all that extra stuff. So I would expect people the next few days to be a little bit more moody, maybe a little bit more temperamental, and a little bit more on edge. But not only that, the physical symptoms that go align with this. So just be prepared for that, guys. Also, most of you guys, or several of you, have probably heard that early this morning, the Bank of America had some pretty serious outages across the nation. And thousands of people woke up and tried to check their bank accounts to discover they couldn't, or that their balance suddenly was zero. And a lot of people got upset about that. The official story is that it has nothing to do with the inclement space weather, but it does coincide with that massive solar flare that happened. So yeah, we've already connected with this X7 solar flare. So the magnetosphere of our planet is already under attack. It's already being weakened and knocking back a little bit. So by the time that this much larger X9 impacts it, could be a little bit more severe than what is anticipated. So just a heads up, I would definitely pay attention to what's going on in the world around us. And it's more important now than ever to physically ground, get your toes in the dirt, spend as much time outside as possible, and drink plenty of water. Yeah, we're absolutely not great geomagnetically. That is a little bit of an understatement. The good thing about this solar flare heading our way is it will give us the ability to gauge realistically where our magnetosphere is, because most of you guys are aware. I like that. Perfect time for pumpkin picking. A lot of us here are aware of the fact that we're in the middle of a magnetic polar reversal. That is a fact. Science does not dispute that. The magnetic field is weakening. It's lost about 20% that we know of, in pretty quick succession. The poles are racing towards each other. They've left their normal, typical stations, and we're in the middle of a polar reversal, right? The closer the poles get together, the weaker our field gets. They used to update and publish data on the field strength, the direction, and the position of the north and south magnetic poles like clockwork. And they suddenly stopped making that information public. Even researchers who are interested in studying the magnetic field aren't able to get a hold of that information. There's a reason why they stopped publishing how strong the magnetic field of the planet is. They don't want everybody to know how weak the field is getting. So when we do have a solar flare like this one that's coming, we can use that to gauge how weak the field has gotten, how rapidly the decay rate is going. As an example, and this is just one thing to look at, I believe it's 6 times since in recorded history, the aurora borealis has been visible in the southern United States, and the southern states like Arizona, Texas, Florida, 4 of those times has been in like the last year and a half. That is reflective of how much of the field has gone away, how weakened it is. The last 2 times that was visible, as far south as the Bahamas, these were not major, huge solar flares, much weaker than what's headed towards the Earth right now. And it should not have been possible to cause auroras to be visible down by the equator. The fact that it did, that means that the magnetic field has lost a lot more than what we're being told and what they're talking about. This is not anything to fear. The solar flare we've got heading this way. It's not the solar kill shot that will take out all electronics. It's not going to take out the power grid. But I do think that there's a strong chance of us seeing not only the low latitude auroras everywhere in the continental United States, but also some system glitches. I think a lot of systems could potentially be down for a period of time. Maybe some issues with the banking industry, things like cellular service, things like that. Songbird, we've already begun that impact with the first solar flare. The second one, it's coming in pretty fast. It's a pretty fast moving coronal mass ejection. My best guesstimate will be late tomorrow or early Saturday. Yeah, Aaron, the Shungite is an excellent idea. Anything like that that helps with the EMF absorption and blocking is a good idea. So the main reason I'm sharing this with everybody is those who know me. It has nothing to do with spreading fear or negativity. It is the opposite of that. This is this is a function of the cycle that we are in. The magnetic polar reversal of our planet is part of the cycle ending, the great age of humanity ending and the next great age beginning. And we are moving into the next stage of spiritual and energetic evolution, physical as well. But this mechanism, not only does it bring all of the not only does it bring all the physical things like the increase in earthquakes and volcanoes, the sinkholes opening up across the planet, the climate shifting, weather increasing in strength, unlike what we've ever seen. But it also has the energetic and spiritual changes that happen as well. People experiencing ascension symptoms, mass spiritual awakening. Edgar Cayce and others were very clear on the sun being the driver for this change that wipes out the old age of man and ushers in the age of Aquarius, the next golden age, saying that we will evolve spiritually and energetically, vibrate at a higher rate, our bodies will, that they will become less dense, more light, and that we will develop new chakra centers for a total of 12 major chakras. That's what's going on right now. We are in the beginning stages of that evolution, but it's going on around us right now. And I believe that every single one of these massive outbursts that we're receiving from the sun right now, first of all, it's a massive discharge of energy, right? And light. That has a tremendous amount of data within it. And that light and that energy is turning on and turning off gene expression within our DNA, activating our physical evolution. That's my own personal theory and hypothesis, but it is proven by science that during these periods of magnetic excursion or full-on polar reversal, there is much greater increase in the evolution of species. And it is because of this energy from our star and from space. That's what triggers the evolution. And we are in it right now. So, to me, this is nothing to fear. This is a very good and positive thing. The old world needs to fall away so the new world can be born. And there are consequences associated with that. It is the process of life, the cycle of life, death, and rebirth. We're right on the cusp right now between those. I can definitely feel it really strongly. In fact, I will be going live for a much shorter duration tonight than what I normally do. I started having a headache earlier today, and I am not feeling well right now. I'm feeling kind of dizzy and lightheaded and everything. I say that as I'm sitting here wearing boots that I haven't taken off yet. So I need to go get my own feet in the dirt. The headaches is very, very common with this massive discharge of energy like that. They affect everything energetically. Gravity pulls the tides, and we're mostly water. Yes, exactly. You're most welcome, Brandy. If we just sit here and do nothing, that's their training. I definitely do not advocate for sitting here and doing nothing. Not one bit. That's the whole reason that I'm here. That's why I'm here doing what I'm doing. I'm talking about the hard things that nobody else wants to talk about, or very few people want to talk about. It's not glamorous, to talk about these things. And there is a quality about this that tends to instill fear. And a lot of people within the spirituality community don't want to look at it. They don't want to talk about it. They stay away from it. And I understand why. Because our mind creates reality, and what we focus on magnifies. Which is why it's important to come at these things from the right angle to understand this is not the end of the world, right? This is not some horrendous, terrible thing. This is the dawning of the age of Aquarius, just like was sung many decades ago. That's where we're at right now, and this cycle is the vehicle that takes us there. But I always will advocate for us making change, my friend. Sitting here doing nothing is not productive. Anybody who wants to be a part of the new earth, the age of Aquarius, in the golden age, has to make that willful decision to change, to evolve, to vibrate higher, to embody Christ consciousness, and no longer be a part of the problem. Every person on the planet is faced with a decision right now. Are you going to continue down the path of being part of the problem, the path of self-destruction, or are we going to evolve and become part of the solution? Trying to catch back up with you guys. I got a little behind. No, Angela, no worries, my friend. And I applaud you. We do need to take action. We do need to enact change. Today is the start of the Hebrew year 5785. What do you think will be changed by this in 1 month? It's an interesting question, Songbird. Here's the thing. In 1 month, we will be in the very last degrees of Pluto closing out a major karmic cycle in the sign of Capricorn, and Pluto will be entering into Aquarius. stationing direct for the final time in Aquarius, and it will be there until the 2040s. Most of you guys who have heard me talk about this know what that means. Pluto represents death, rebirth, transformation. It's a very, very powerful planet. And whenever it enters into the sign of Aquarius, unlike the other 11 signs, it does not just impact those born under that sign. Pluto in Aquarius affects everybody, because Aquarius, as the humanitarian sign, reflects society as a whole, the entire collective. So when Pluto is in Aquarius, it brings powerful transformation through revolution to the collective, to society. And we're getting ready to experience that in a big way in about a month, as Pluto finishes up that cycle in Capricorn and then stations direct for the last time in Aquarius. The last time that this happened, the United States was created. The Revolutionary War was fought against the British Crown. The Declaration of Independence was signed, and the United States was created. The French Revolution was being fought every single cycle. Every 248 and a half years that this happens, the planet experiences powerful transformation through revolution. So that's what I think that we have to look forward to for the next 20 years. But this is all part of closing out the cycle of the old age and bringing in the energy of the new age. So it's not a bad or negative thing. Give me a moment to catch up with the comments, guys. I got a little behind. Star Muse, I've been thinking about that. You said that you have MS, which is a neurological, and yes, definitely a huge relation with the electrical system. Is the polar reversal affected by anything? Absolutely, Megan. Thank you for pinning that for me, by the way. There's so many good comments here. I'm sure I won't be able to get to everybody, but Cheryl, I've been really thinking about that. Because just within our small group, I say small group, we got hundreds of members of the soul group. But even within that, we have a very diverse group of individuals. We're all at a completely different level when it comes to our health, our age, our physical fitness level and stuff like that. And there are several members, you're not alone, who have neurological disorders like that. So I've been really kind of thinking about that and seeing if there is an answer there, if there is some form of ray of sunshine at the end of the tunnel that can help alleviate any concerns with that. The good thing about this is our DNA is being upgraded. Every disease within the body is controlled through gene expression. The vast majority of DNA is inactive in our genes, and there is a ton of that is the genes are turned off. This energy from the sun has the ability to turn off genes and turn on genes, much like we do through stress, through stressors of our environment and stuff like that. It turns on and off our gene expression. Every disease is a result of that gene expression. If a gene can be turned on, it can be turned off. There might be a ray of hope in that. Peter, to quickly answer your question, I wouldn't say that the polar reversal is affected by that. The weather actually is a result of the weather will be increased by all of this influx of energy, of the charged particles, cosmic rays, things like that from space due to the weakening magnetic field. What science really hasn't fully gotten on board with understanding yet is that the Earth is a giant electrical circuit. Everything is energy, right? Any form of weather is a function of discharging energy from that electrical circuit. Whether you're talking about a tornado, a hurricane, a monsoon, whatever it is, that is a discharge of energy from the Earth's energy grid. That's why you see things like a volcano erupting and then lightning discharging from the volcano towards the sky. That's not static buildup from the ash like some people will argue. And it's not lightning bolts coming from the sky hitting the mountain of the volcano. It's ground to sky lightning. It is a discharge of the electrical circuit. Earthquakes are the same thing. That's the reason why lights are commonly viewed in the sky preceding or during an earthquake. It's because it is discharging energy from that grid. Any manner of weather is a function of discharge of energy from that grid. So whenever we're taking on tons and tons of more energy than what is normal or typical, there's going to be an increase of intensity and frequency of those types of things. So weather will become more extreme. Earthquakes will become more extreme. So will volcanoes. I hope that answered your question. Okay, yeah, I got way behind. Bear with me, guys. I'm going to have to skim over some of the comments, and I do apologize. And the Neptune retrograde, absolutely. Hello, Sarah. Welcome back, my friend. Does Libra get affected? Every sign gets affected whenever Pluto is in Aquarius. It is absolutely affecting our political arena right now. Everything that is going on on the political stage right now is a reflection of this revolutionary energy, a changing of the guard. The old way of doing things, the old systems that have been in place in some cases for thousands of years, those are going away with the old age as we make room for the new. The energies of transformation through revolution usually manifest in one of two ways. It's usually both, like two sides of the same coin. That transformation through revolution, such as socio-political revolution. So the last cycle we seen the colonists in North America rebel through revolution to the British Crown, overthrew that system of government and created an entire nation. And we had the French Revolution, which was essentially the people rising up against the crown. And that was one expression of that. But the other side of that coin is revolution to society through major advancements in our intellect, in our technology, in our spirituality. Things like the printing press was created and invented during a cycle of Pluto and Aquarius. The first books printed was a function of that. Every split within Catholicism happened during this cycle, whether it was Eastern Orthodoxy or the creation of the English Church or Protestantism, all happened on this cycle. That is powerful revolution happening to society, and it happened because Pluto was in the sign of Aquarius. So yes, what we're seeing right now, whether you're talking in the United States or across the planet, is a direct reflection of this Plutonian energy. Thank you, Boat Life. It's good to see you again, my friend. Thank you for that reminder, as always. What is the change every 248 and a half years called? The Pluto return is what it's called. Trying to get through the comments, guys. Bear with me here. Yeah, Cheryl, absolutely. And also the junk DNA. There will be a future world that is like utopia. Not sure if we will see that in this lifetime. I think we will have a hand in building that in this lifetime. we're at that point right now to where I believe I will see that. Will I see the full fruition of that? No, I don't think any of us really will in this incarnation. But this is the generation that we're in right now where the shift happens, where the energy of the Aquarian age prevails, and the house of cards begins to collapse, and the power shifts hands, where the veil falls, where ignorance begins to subside, and people begin to wake up to the truth. It's already happening. That's why we've seen all of the disclosure stuff. That's why P. Diddy's all over the news right now. The truth will be revealed in all forms, and that's what's happening right now, and we're seeing that. Been procrastinating fitting copper wire through my window to a copper rod. I think that is an excellent idea, especially for what's coming in the future. How about pacemakers and such? Yeah, see, that is an excellent idea. One thing, if I was an individual who had a pacemaker, I would seriously be looking into building a Faraday cage. They're relatively simple to make. The problem is you would have to be inside of that Faraday cage, so it would have to be like your house or a room where you could use something like copper sheeting. You won't get signal into that room, which isn't necessarily a bad thing, but it would block, if it was built correctly, it would block an electromagnetic pulse, an EMP from the sun, which is what is coming eventually. When there is a large enough solar flare, it will act as a global EMP and electronics will be gone. That would be my biggest concern, having something like a pacemaker. But there are ways to shield against that EMP. And Peter, it would be the same thing for the deep brain stimulator as well. The problem is, if you're not inside that Faraday cage, then there's not any protection for it. Aaron says it's meant to purge our Roman Empire here in the U.S. It's been, yeah, absolutely. Divisiveness does not work anymore. Exactly, Cheryl. That's where we're at. Those things have to go. Recap your divergence. Tell me what you mean by that, Aaron. You're most welcome, Songbird. How long will we be in this? Roadkill Redneck. I'm assuming by that question you mean like the pole shift in general, like the totality of that shift from like where we're at now till it's over and we're on the other side of it. Is that what you mean by that? Or do you mean the energy of Pluto and Aquarius? Because those are two different things. Copper is an excellent conductor of electricity. Anything like an EMF is an electromagnetic frequency. Any type of radio signal, any type of wave of energy basically is caught in this web of copper lacing and then channeled and directed into the ground and grounded, so it doesn't penetrate that shield and impact your body like a pacemaker. That's what a Faraday cage is. That's how it functions. It collects that energy and then directs it into the ground, as opposed to allowing it all the way through and to impact your body or electronics or whatever. You're gonna use lead. I would be careful with that. I'm sure you're aware of that. Lead certainly would work for the conductivity, but it's also toxic if you're not careful for that. Lead is actually, it's a lot better than just copper sheeting. And I'm sure you know this, that's probably why you want to use lead, but it can protect against a lot of things like X-ray radiation. That's one of the real dangers during a pole flip scenario, is because there will be a period of time where the magnetosphere is essentially gone and we will be bombarded by cosmic radiation. It's already to the point, by the way, to where they are studying X-ray exposure to those who frequently fly in commercial flight, because they are being exposed to way more radiation than what they used to. That's going to increase dramatically, but lead certainly helps protect against that. I wake up in the middle of the night and I feel like I'm vibrating. I've experienced similar things to that. I really, this is just my opinion, right? I am, this is not medical advice. I'm not a doctor or anything. But my take on those types of phenomena is experiencing the symptoms of our evolution. Some people call that ascension symptoms. I think this is a little bit different than a typical ascension symptom, because we are not simply ascending. People have been doing that for thousands of years. This is a huge deal. We are evolving into the sixth root race of humanity. Our DNA is becoming upgraded. We're vibrating at a higher frequency. We're becoming less dense, developing new chakras. It's going to have some effect on us. And those who are more sensitive to stuff like that will pick up and notice stuff like that. Oh, from the mainstream church. Absolutely, Aaron. Let me catch up on the comments real quick because I got too far behind, and then I will. Bear with me, guys. I'm almost there. There's a company called Lambs that make EMF protective clothing. I've heard about stuff like that, but I've never really looked into it or researched, how effective it really is. Leave it to ascension, energy downloads, losing weight. Okay, so I had a request to talk about my divergence from the church real quick. A lot of you guys have heard this before, so bear with me. About 20 years ago, I had a very profound spiritual experience that triggered a very abrupt and powerful spiritual awakening in me. Prior to that time, I was raised in a conservative Christian household, or series of households. And thank you for mentioning that, Aaron. I appreciate you. So my spiritual framework, my belief system was from that background, primarily from traditionally accepted doctrine of Protestant Christianity. So there was not any room for belief in reincarnation or karma, or really spirit in the broader term. It's a very limiting mindset, as most of you guys are aware of. But then I had this very powerful and profound spiritual experience where, and I'm going to give the extreme Cliff Notes version of this, spontaneously one night while my ex was completely asleep and unconscious, she sat up and started talking to me. And I recognized that I was speaking to her higher self, not simply her subconsciousness, but her higher self. This was an incredibly spiritual experience. I kind of almost felt like I was in the presence of divinity whenever this happened. And we had a whole lot of conversations. This was not a one-off event. It happened almost, at least a couple of times a week for over a year. And we had numerous conversations. Part of that, the main purpose of this was she Her higher self told me that she was sent to me to charge me with my calling, that I had been tasked with a specific calling. And I was shown some past lives of mine and shown a vision of the future. And without going too far into that, because there's a whole lot there, this was a very powerful tower moment for me, because none of that fit nicely into the framework of conservative Protestant Christianity. I experienced past lives. I communicated directly with Spirit in a one-on-one, face-to-face conversation. I seen a vision of the future, and many of these things contradicted what I'd been taught in mainstream Christianity. Not to mention the content of these conversations that we had for about a year. Thank you guys for all that support. I appreciate that. But anyway, I found myself in a tower moment. And what I mean by that is the bedrock of everything that I believed and held to be true crumbled whenever I realized both of these things cannot be true the way that I have accepted them. Either we live one life and then afterwards face eternal judgment, or reincarnation is a thing. Which one is it? Because it can't both be true. And so I set out on a quest for truth. I left no stone unturned that I came across. I read everything I could get my hands on. I even went to college specifically for this purpose, to get some answers. And I double majored in psychology and religious studies. I didn't limit this purely to academic research. Anything and everything I could get my hands on. I needed to find a way to reconcile these two beliefs, because they were contradictory. And in many ways I felt lost, like I was alone, groping in the darkness, searching for truth. And I prayed a lot during this period of time, for hours a day. And eventually I was led to, through prayer, I was led to the work of Edgar Cayce. And I found so many answers to the questions that I had through the story of Edgar Cayce. And I found out that, hello Starseed, it's good to see you again. I found out that I'm not alone in the type of spiritual experience that I had. And it began to answer some of my questions about the topic of reincarnation and Christianity. So long story short, I've been on a quest for truth for the last 20 years. And that quest is still unfinished, and I don't believe that it ever will be. I will never be finished searching after truth. But what I've discovered and what I found is that there is a surprising amount of evidence that reincarnation was not only a widely accepted notion at the time of Christ, but that it was actually originally part of the teachings of Yeshua ben Joseph. There is a lot of evidence that points in that direction, and that it did not fit the political motives of the early Christian church after Yeshua's death. And so the doctrine was twisted and distorted. His true teachings were twisted and distorted into a system of control to manipulate a population primarily using fear. There is a lot. There's a lot that goes into this, and it's hard to summarize all of this in a few short sentences. But I've spent the last 20 years researching specifically this topic, and I do think it is strongly linked to my calling and what I was asked to do. I'm trying to see what I've left out of this. I will have to dedicate a live soon if you guys are interested in this. Starseed, okay, I'm going to pause the story for a moment here to answer your question. The topic is, we're kind of all over the place tonight. I started out with the information to get everybody's attention and spread the awareness that we are under a solar storm watch right now. the sun is getting ready to be hit by the strongest solar flare of the cycle, following an X7 that's already impacting the planet. And there is a strong likelihood of disruptions to technology as a result of that. Not only that, but physical symptoms of the body as well. And then I was talking about how that's a function of our spiritual evolution through this energy increase of the sun, and how that relates to the magnetic polar reversal of our planet that is ongoing. And somebody asked me to tell the story of my divergence from the official doctrine of Christianity, and that's what I was talking about. Aaron, I will upload this to the YouTube channel. Yes, also that is one of the main, in my opinion, that is one of the major bits of information that was stripped from the original teachings. And that is the removal of the feminine principle. I believe Jesus was first taught in his early education by a community of the Essene. I've found references to that in numerous sources, not just one or two. Edgar Cayce mentioned it. Dolores Cannon uncovered some very potent information through regressive hypnosis and published it in the book Jesus and the Essene. I even took a class in biblical archaeology by an archaeologist who helped to excavate the the Essene community at Qumran, and there was some physical evidence that might very well have been the truth, that Jesus actually received his early education among the Essene. One of the biggest differences between the Essene and the traditional Judaism of that time is that the feminine principle was elevated to a balanced position of authority alongside the masculine. It was revered for its qualities. So women were not second-class citizens like they were with mainstream Judaism or even the later Christianity. Women were allowed to teach, as an example, and Yeshua's first teachers were women. And most of Jesus's doctrine centered around that idea. You can't remove half of the energy and expect a balanced equation that makes sense, right? Of course, that's utter nonsense, and that was a major portion that was removed from the true teachings. Hello, Beth. Welcome in. Well, thank you, Aaron. Oh yeah, Tiffany. I've done a lot in the last 20 years. Being introduced to the work of Edgar Cayce opened so many doors for me, because it showed me that it is possible to have a belief in both. So I started looking everywhere I could look. And that's, I mean, I've read a lot of the Dolores Cannon material. I studied the topics of near-death experiences and reincarnation. I published a research primer on the topic of reincarnation within Christianity, and really specialized in all of those topics. And I think really a major part of my calling is helping people who have been indoctrinated or programmed by this very toxic and unbalanced view of Yeshua's teachings. It's a bastardization of the truth. It is not a true reflection of the teachings. And a lot of people are starting to wake up to that, and they don't really know where to turn. Because the unfortunate reality is mainstream Christianity has no answers for that. For somebody who begins to experience a spiritual awakening or has a profound spiritual experience. Mainstream Christianity tells you it's evil, it's demonic, you're going to burn in an eternal lake of fire or something like that. But the truth is that those teachings are a bastardization of the truth. And the coming of the age of Aquarius, which is where we're at right now, is an elevation to Christ consciousness. And the truth will be revealed. And that's what all of this is all about. So that's why these topics are so important to me and central to my calling. Because I, like every single one of you and a lot of other people, I am here to help bring about that change, to usher in the age of Aquarius, not just to sit in the bleachers and watch the big show. We're here to participate. We're here to bring about the change by embodying the Christ consciousness, the law of one, raising our frequency vibration and embodying that change in our life. Yes, Kelly, Solar Storm Watch. Gospel of the Essenes prove it too. Aaron, I'm actually getting ready to end this live. I don't know. Actually, yeah, you were here and you heard me say I'm gonna have to end this live early. I'm not feeling all that great tonight, and I'm a little bit overwhelmed by energy tonight, so I probably need to get off here and go ground. I would love to have you on here, but I think we probably should do that on the next live. I hope that's all right with you. Robert Scott. I'm going to have to write that down because I am pretty well versed on the polar reversal and I'm not familiar with that name at all. Thank you for that, Starseed. Journey of the Souls. Thank you for that, Tiffany. Thank you for the understanding, Aaron. I appreciate you. All right, everybody. On that note, I am going to go ahead and end this live for tonight and go work on grounding and centering myself. Yeah, I've been having a lot of the headaches. That is an excellent idea. The beach would be an excellent place to be right now. So thank you all for being here and for being a part of this. I appreciate you guys more than you know. I will download this and upload the video to my YouTube channel for anybody who didn't get to watch the whole thing, or if you want to go back and rewatch it. Thank you all again for being here. I appreciate each and every one of you, and I hope to see everybody soon. Don't forget, make sure and get your feet in the dirt as much as you can over the next couple of days, and make sure you drink plenty of water. Try to stay grounded as much as possible. Excellent advice. Thank you, Aaron. Thank you guys so much. I hope everyone has a fantastic night. I will see you soon.